What's up guys, welcome to the Surfing Connoisseur. Here are my fancy surfer picks and tips for Portugal. So guys, we're nearing the end of the season now. We're heading into the penultimate event of the year. Everyone's got a kind of good idea what people's current form is, but the title race is still looking pretty interesting, which is always good for the spectator. And at the other end as well, there's plenty of guys who are struggling to stay on tour that need to put in some good results. No surprise therefore that when you look back through the history of results for Portugal, that pressure throws in some pretty interesting results. It's also made picking off previous form pretty difficult. I've concentrated largely on the surf we have forecast and the current form, mixed also with a slight bit of how people have performed in the past. As always, before we go into it, I want to look quickly at what the surf's like at Supertubos in Portugal. So we only have the start of the waiting period, but I think looking at that, it's kind of all we need. You can see there's a big spike of swell right at the beginning of the window. So it wouldn't surprise me if they try and rattle off as many heats as possible in this window. The winds at the moment are also looking fairly favourable. So when you're picking your teams, I think you need to really be picking people who can handle themselves in big, heavy, hollow surf for the opening days of the window. With that in mind, let's jump into my teams. Starting as always with my Surf Mag team. For the second time this year, I failed to save my team properly. This time, rather than lose my whole team, I did only lose one surfer. The downside to that was that I had Jordy Smith instead of John, which obviously lost me points at the French event. It also means I've now, if I want to pick John, which I do, have to get him at a higher price, which is really frustrating, but I've done it anyway. So my first pick is John Florence. His form in Portugal is pretty good and his current form is ridiculous. When you look at his results for the 2017 season, I'd be really surprised if anyone else manages to take the title from him. He's just been super consistent, and we're heading into Portugal where he's got pretty good form and pipe, where it's a miracle that he's not won the event yet. Concentrating on Portugal for now, he won the event last year in 2016 and he's got a round 3 at semis and a round 5 to back that up. So he's a pretty solid selection, even at the hefty price tag he comes with at the moment. Next up, I'm dropping Gabriel Medina due to the fact I've had to go for the expensive John Florence and replaced him with Owen Wright. That's not as painful as it first sounds, because Gabriel doesn't have the best form at Portugal, despite the fact he has the Portuguese fans sort of backing him because of the language thing, and also it's a break you'd expect him to surf well in. It just never has done, I suppose. The fact he's coming off the back of a positive result in France shouldn't really change things, because every year he's been on tour, he's come off the back of a positive result in France. His World Championship year, I even seem to remember him getting out of the water early, as in thinking he won the heat and losing it, and it's just like, what are you doing? He's never managed to piece it together properly in Portugal. Owen Wright, not actually too much different, so why am I picking him? As I said, I'm expecting big, heavy, hollow surf for the opening days of the window, which I'd expect Owen to perform really well in. He didn't compete in 2016, went out in round 2 in 2015, and went out in round 3 in 2014. In 2015 though, it was about shoulder high, quite sloppy surf, and in 2014 it was a super funky heat where he only had a 2.83 and he was beaten with a 10.90. I don't think it reflects accurately how Owen would perform in a really heavy hollow super tubes. Again, I'm really putting all my eggs in one basket on this heavy hollow surf in the opening days of the window, and I'm going for Joel Parkinson, another person I'd expect to perform really well in those types of conditions. And to back that up, he doesn't actually have too bad form in Portugal as it is, with a round 5 finish in 2016, a quarterfinals finish in 2015, a bit of a blip with a round 3 exit in 2014, but a semi-final finish in 2013. Next up, I'm keeping Mick Fanning in just because I haven't a bargain price. We're heading into Pipe where he has a super good track record, bit of a mixed history in Portugal, but at the price I've got him, I'm prepared to keep him and hope for the best. He didn't compete due to his sabbatical in 2016. He finished in round 3 in 2015. He won the event in 2014 and made the quarters in 2013. So for someone of his price, I think he's actually a pretty good selection. Now I'm getting to the slightly lower bracket surfers, having to be a bit more creative. I'm going for Josh Kerr first of all, which I accept is a bit of a risky pick, given that he appears to be about to drop off tour. That said, he's one of the few guys down at this price bracket who we can look and say he's actually got some okay form at Supertubes, with a semi-finals result in 2013 and a quarter-finals result in 2014, backed up by 2 round 3s after that. I'm not even sure if it's mathematically possible for him to make it onto the tour, for 2018. I'm sure it'll depend largely on how other guys do too, but I'm sure he'll be doing everything in his power to stay on tour. And the fact he is pretty good in heavy hollow waves means he could put in his best result of the season. Next up, I'm going for Italo Ferreira, who despite the poor result in France and the injury earlier this year, has had a fairly consistently good year. His previous form at Portugal includes a round 3 in 2016 and being runner-up in 2015, so pretty mixed. But again, for someone in the lower price brackets, even making it through a few rounds is good. Rounding out my team, I'm in that position again where I have little cash left. So at the moment I've got Nat Young in my team because on the Surfing website I'm not allowed to pick any of the wildcards. However, the World Surf League website suggests that Mason Ho will be one of those wildcards. So providing I remember, I will put Mason Ho in my team. If I forget though, as I managed to do a lot at the moment, Nat Young is in there. And he's actually not a bad selection, although he's sat at 29th overall on the tour. He represents pretty good value because he's actually sitting above a number of surfers who are priced more than him. Also worth noting that he does have history to check back at Portugal, and although he left in 2016 and 2014 without winning a heat, he also made round 5 in 2015 and the semi-finals in 2013, so for $1,500 it's certainly not a bad selection. The thing I'm going to be having to weigh up myself when he goes live is the fact that Mason, depending on who the other wildcard is, might be competing against John, and I don't want two of my surfers friendly firing each other in round 3 because it's kind of self-defeative and pointless. It might be beneficial therefore to keep Nat in, who with that slightly higher rating won't be clashing with my top tier John Florence. Jumping over to my World Surf League version, I have made a few changes this time. First of all, in my tier 8, I've got John Florence. As I said, I was bending over backwards to keep him in my team. I've backed him up in my tier 8 with Geordie Smith. Looking at his previous results, he's got a semi-final finish in 2016 and did not compete in 2015. He was runner-up in 14 and finishing the quarters in 2013, so he's actually got a pretty good run of results there. In my tier B, I've managed to keep Mick, Joel and Italo, only changing out Jeremy Flores, who kind of excels in these types of conditions, particularly if it's going to be heavy and hollow. Ignoring his round 2 exits in 2013 and 2014, he also has some good results to his name, with a quarter-final finish in 2015 and a round 5 finish in 2016. Now rounding things out in my tier C, that problem I had over at Surfmag doesn't apply here. I'm going to go straight for Nat and Mason. Yes, it may give me some friendly fire in the early rounds, but if that ends up with John going out early, at least I've kind of covered my back. It's maybe not the smartest tactical pick, but it certainly beats having to pick someone who I think's probably going to lose anyway in the opening rounds. Thank you very much for watching, guys. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, picks, tips, selections, etc. in the comments below, so hit me up down there. Some guys in the past have left some really detailed descriptions on who and why they're picking, so even if you're not going to bother commenting, why don't you head on down and there might be a few more tips and suggestions down there. Best of luck to everyone who's playing. Remember to join our clubhouses as it's nearing the end of the season and see where you slot in against all the other viewers on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You can do that by hitting that circle button up there. If you want to see some of the other stuff we do on this channel, that rectangle down there will take you to a GoPro video of me. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.